This dude, I don't want to make this a long video, but I'm arguing with this guy on Facebook, and he tried to insult me, right? He called himself insulting me by telling me that, nigga, you ain't in the trenches no more. I'm still here. You thought that was an insult? I'm a grown man. I'm a grown man that value real things. And the trenches ain't one of the things that I value, unfortunately. Granted, we grew up in the hood, so I'm not knocking somebody that's from the hood. So nobody take this video the wrong way. But I do want to talk to you. I pray to God this video go viral. I didn't even want to respond to him. I'm just gonna make this video and I hope it get to you. Because I know there's a lot of people that think like this, and I know there's a lot of people that think like this, and I know a lot of people that need to hear this, right? The trenches ain't a flex. It's not a flex. Not my flex. It's not a flex. Living in the trenches is not a flex. If you grew up in the trenches and you still there, that's not a flex. If your family grew up in the trenches and you still went through the same trauma and the same situation that your family went through, that's not a flex. Most people that's living in the trenches are living in survival mode. You're not thriving. You're not growing. You're not living your dreams. That's nobody dream of being in the trenches besides people that never been there. It's not a flex. And so I want you to understand, bro, when you live in the trenches, when you still in the trenches, you in Chicago, I don't know how it is in Florida. I don't know how it is in Indiana for the other guys that was talking crazy. I don't know how it is in Wisconsin for the other people that was talking crazy. I don't know how it is in Texas for the people that think is that glorify living in the trenches. But in Chicago, the trenches is not the flex. Getting out of it is. Getting out of it is. In Chicago, our trauma become the norm when you living in the trenches. Our trauma become the norm. We hear sirens and gunshots every day. We ducking on the floor and hiding on the floor. And like that's the norm. We got our kids lay on the floor real fast. It'll stop in a minute. That's the norm. We see violence every day. People outside fighting and brawling every single day. Every single day. We see drug addicts and drug exchanges every day. Drug addicts right in the middle of the street, dozing off in the middle of the street every day. That ain't nothing cool about that. Ain't nothing cool about that. That you think that's the flex? We lose our family and friends every day in Chicago. I got guys that died before they became teenagers. I got guys that died before they worked their first job. I know people that's dying that ain't even in the streets. The regular civilians got to walk around with guns on them just to make sure they protect. They ain't even a part of the street life. But because they live in the trenches, they got to walk around with protection. You think that's something to glorify because you live there and your kids there? You think that's cool because your kids live there? On your profile picture, you had 6 kids in the picture. 6 kids. I hope those weren't your kids and you glorifying living in the trenches still. I hope those wasn't your kids. And in the trenches, people education is not valued. They don't send money to those schools in the trenches. Where I live, my kids go to good school. They got good resources. Our schools got good resources. Our community got better resources. And so that's why I thrive to get out of the trenches. In the trenches, crime become the economy. Ain't no jobs out there. You see adults that's my age, 35, 40 years old, they still working at McDonald's. Because ain't no resources. Ain't no real jobs that's paying real money in the trenches. And so crime become the norm. People start to rob and sell drugs and steal and kick open doors and steal cars because that's the norm. Ain't no activity for kids to get into. And so they plan, point them out, knock them out. And they think hurting people and violence is the new norm. Our people are so fucked up because mental health is neglected in the trenches. Mental health is neglected in the trenches. And so in the trenches, you see all of our kids, our uncles, our aunties on drugs because nobody got the help that they need because all of this shit that's going on in the trenches. All of this shit that's going on in the trenches. Don't nobody own their property in the trenches. Everybody paying rent. Everybody on Section 8. Everybody living check to check and barely making it. Don't know what they kids putting up GoFundMe when they die. The trenches ain't something to brag about, bro. You can't insult me with that. You can't insult me with that. I grew up in the trenches. We grew up in the hood. We lived on 51st and State. We lived out west in K-Town, 110th and Wentworth. We lived in the trenches. We lived in the trenches. You can't tell me that's the goal, bro. I hope you can't insult me with that. Real men understand that I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. And if you're really from the trenches, if your trenches is anything like Chicago trenches, you don't want to be that neither. Stop trying to. You can't play me. You can't play me. You can't smile in my face and make it seem like you enjoy the trenches.